October reading wrap up. This is not everything that I read this month, this is just the physical copies, but I will tell you everything that I read on my Kindle as well. I think in total this month, well in October, I think it was a total of 20 books, which is pretty average for me, to be honest. So I'm happy with it. I'll go in order of everything I read from the start to the end of the month. Some of them you would have already had a bit of an in-depth review on if you watched my read with me for a week vlog, so I might not go into them too much in this video as well. Don't want to bore people, you know. But let's start. So first book I read in October was Anxious People by Fredrik Backman, and I rated this 5 stars. I absolutely loved this. It was the perfect way to start the month off. It's one of those books that'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, and it'll make you like, you know when you've read a book and then you just sit there and just think about life. Like you just contemplate life afterwards. It's about a bank robbery that goes wrong and turns into like an accidental hostage situation. So there's lots of people involved. We're getting the perspective of everyone that was involved and, you know, the background of like what they're going through in their personal lives. And it's just so beautiful. It touches on like grief, love, loneliness, divorce, parenthood, everything. And it's just perfect. Then I read From Here to Eternity by A.L. Jackson. This is kind of like a bit of a darker small town romance. So the female main character is like a woman on the run, and the male main character, he owns a tattoo shop and he's in kind of like a motorcycle Sons of Anarchy style club, and he's a single dad. There's a lot of twists and turns. Actually, there was a plot twist at the end of this book that really had me shocked. The romance is good, the spice is good, it's really fast paced. I rated it 3 stars just because I wasn't really too bothered about the main characters that much, to be honest. Then I read Promise Me Not by Megan Brandy, which is the second book in that series. It follows on from Say You Swear, which is really popular. I really didn't like it. The female main character, she's a single mum, but she's still like really young. She had like a baby really young, and the guy that she had a baby with passed away. That's not a spoiler, that will literally tell you that on the back of the book. So yeah, the male main character is Mason, who you would have met if you've read Say You Swear, the first book, and it's just basically a whole book of them miscommunicating. The female main character refuses to communicate, like she refuses to even have a conversation. It's absolutely insufferable. I couldn't stand her. It was painful, but I just read it because I thought, well, I've committed to it now, I need to actually see if what happens. So I don't recommend it. I rated it 2 stars, and that's probably quite generous. I don't really have much to say about it. Then I read a thriller. I read Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This basically follows a married couple, and they go to view this house, and they basically get snowed in at this house, and there's no one else there, it's just them two, and they discover loads of creepy things. There's a woman that used to live in that house. She is a therapist, and she had gone missing years ago, and so yeah, they kind of accidentally end up finding out things and the truth behind this woman's disappearance. There's lots of twists and turns. It's really fast paced, short chapters. I absolutely loved it. This is my favourite Frida McFadden book that I have read, and it's up there with like one of my favourite thrillers, which is good because I'm not typically a thriller girly, but I absolutely loved it. Then I read Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This is one of my favourite books that I've read this month. I've rated it 4.75 stars. We follow the main character, Ophelia, and she basically, her sister goes missing, so she enters this game show because she thinks that's where her sister is, and it's kind of like death trials, and if you win this it's not a game show, but I don't really know what else to call it. It's like a competition, and if you win this competition, you get granted a single wish, but obviously the competition is not just like a normal competition like the X Factor or something. No, we've got like witches, necromancers, devils, ghosts, everything. It's so good. It's like a dark, gothic, spicy fantasy. Loads of magical elements in it. I absolutely loved it. I couldn't put it down. Whenever I did put it down, I was like really excited to pick it back up again. The romance is great, the spice is great, the actual like magic system and like creatures and magical creatures and stuff are fantastic. It was really well written, and I can't wait for the second book. The only reason I didn't rate it a full 5 stars was just because I feel like we hit like a bit of a plot twist and a problem at the end, and for me I felt like it was resolved too quickly, but other than that it was absolutely perfect. Then I read The Deepest End of Love by Lucina Kona. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but this is book 3 in the Brightest Light series. If you haven't read this series, I really, really would recommend it. It's a really nice romance series. This 3rd book follows Lila and her university professor. So it's kind of a forbidden romance, but it's really, really beautiful. I absolutely loved it. I really, really loved the romance so much. I think it was done perfectly, and it was nice to read about like 2 people falling in love with each other, like with each other's brains and like with each other's intelligence. Like they really, really connected on that intelligence level, and like they really fell in love with each other's mindset and stuff, rather than it being like a sexual and solely like attraction based thing. So it was a slow burn, but it was just absolutely fantastic, and I rated it 4 stars. I also read Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerry Maniscalco. I was expecting to like this more than I did. I rated this 3 stars. We basically follow 2 twins, and they are witches, and one day Amelia finds her other twin dead. And so she's obviously on a warpath. She wants revenge. She wants to know who they did it. She wants to know why they did it. She ends up getting involved with a guy. Then they're both trying to figure out who did it, but obviously there's something between them as well. I just thought it was really, really slow paced. It didn't keep me gripped at all. And I think in this particular circumstance, I would have liked a dual POV. I would have loved to get the male main character's point of view in this book. I'm not sure if I'll carry on with the rest of the series, but yeah, I rated it 3 stars. Then I read A Reign of Rose, which is the 3rd book in the Sacred Stones series. I don't know if there's going to be any more. I believe it's just a trilogy as it stands. I have absolutely loved this whole trilogy. It has been incredible, and I highly recommend it. And I don't see it spoken about enough, but I think we need to be talking about it. The 1st book is A Dawn of Onyx. The 2nd book is A Promise of Peridot, and then the 3rd book is A Reign of Rose. This tied everything together so nicely. I won't really go into what it's about, because then I feel like it will spoil the previous 2 books if you want to read those. But I will say it's a really, really great romantasy series. If you love romantasy, you should definitely read this series. You will absolutely love the male main character. You will love him. I couldn't recommend it anymore. I rated this book 4 stars. I think my favourite out of the series is still the 1st one, but they've all been great, and this was a 4 star. Oh my god. I was lucky enough to get an arc of Spiral by Balcabra. You'll probably all be aware of the 1st book in this series, which is Collide. It's like a hockey romance, and this follows basically another member of the team and this lovely young lady that he meets, this ballerina. It ends up being kind of like a fake dating situation. It's slow burn. There's a lot of tension. There is so much tension, and I honestly sometimes think tension is better than spice, genuinely. I really, really, really enjoyed this book, maybe more than the 1st one, honestly, maybe more than the 1st one. It was just so much fun. And Eli was literally a top tier perfect book boyfriend. I just loved both of the characters so much. I rated this 4.5 stars. And I was kind of in a reading slump for a big portion of the month. So you know when you keep just trying to read things for the sake of it? Well, I did that. I read First Down by Grace Riley, and as I'm filming this video, I honest to God can't remember a single thing that happened in this book. So I obviously didn't connect with it very well. I know that it's a sports romance, and I think it's like a football romance, but I can't remember anything about it. So I'm gonna give it a 2-star rating. Yeah, obviously wasn't for me. Then I read Unspoken Promises by Sienna Judd. I believe this is a 1st book in a new series of hers, and it's romantic suspense. We've basically got the female main character. She has lived a very, very, very sheltered life, and she's been through a lot, and then she ends up getting the opportunity to escape, so she takes it and ends up on this ranch, small town, with Enzo, who is our male main character. And at first, Enzo's really like, oh, and then obviously everything just stems from there. There's a lot of tension, there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of drama, like there is, you know, it is romantic suspense done really well. I enjoyed it, but it's one of those that I haven't thought about it again since I read it. So I rated it a 3-star. It's an easy read if you like a small town romantic suspense. Then I read Slapshot Surprise by Melanie Harlow, which is, I think it's like book 5 or 6 or something in a series, and I definitely have skipped some of those books. I've not read them all. But this is an accidental pregnancy one night stand trope, and the male main character is one of those like your typical hockey player that has a phobia of commitment and stuff like that. But it was actually a really, really lovely story, and I flew through it like I couldn't put it down. Read it in like one sitting, so it's a really, really easy, nice, spicy read. I rated it, I'm stuck between, I think I'm gonna go 3 stars. I'm gonna go 3 stars actually, yeah, I rated 3 stars. Then I read the second book in the Frozen Fate trilogy, and this one is A Cage of Ice and Echoes, and it's by Pam Godwin. And the first book basically is like Credence on steroids, so it's like Credence but a bit darker, and with probably a little bit of a stronger plot than Credence. And it ends on a cliffhanger, and this is the second book. So if you've read Credence or you know what Credence is about, you can probably get the vibe. I don't really know how to talk about this without spoiling it for you, but basically we'll just say that a woman ends up trapped in this secluded island where it's just like pure snow and all that, with some other guys. And it's like a fight for survival, and obviously things go down. I didn't really enjoy this second book, to be honest. I found myself like wanting to just skim read quite a lot of it. I think I was kind of just over the story, and I think I left it too long between the first book and the second book that I actually didn't care anymore. So I rated this 2.5 stars. Then, as part of a book club that I'm in work, I read Archer's Voice, and this actually got me out of the reading slump that I was in. I really did enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, like, parts of it were annoying and it was quite infuriating, but there was just something about it that I liked. It was very endearing, and it was not what I was expecting. I didn't expect it to have the, like, suspense drama element that it had, and I really, really liked that. Again, not going to go into it too much, but we've basically got our main character, Bree. She's gone through something, and she moves away to this like small town in Maine, and she meets Archer, and Archer can't speak, but them two become close and they develop a relationship. There's so much more to it than that. It was really, really nice read, even though frustrating at times. I rated that book 4 stars. Then I read Finding Hayes by Laura Pavlov, which is the 5th and final book in the Magnolia Falls series. I absolutely love Laura Pavlov. She's one of my favourite small town romance authors, just because I can always count on those books if I want an easy, romantic, spicy small town romance, and this did exactly that. This is like a childhood friends to lovers, which I don't usually enjoy, but they'd kind of along the way turned into enemies to lovers. Not really enemies, but you know what I mean. And then it ends up like a marriage of convenience. So there's a lot going on, and it was really, really good. It was a lot better than I was expecting it to be, actually, because I feel like Hayes was kind of the dark horse of the series. But I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I rated it 3.5 stars. Then I read The Striker by Anna Huang, which was so good. I absolutely loved this. This follows Asher, and he's a Premier League player, because this book is based in, I think it's set in London. So yeah, male main character is Asher, and then female main character, Scarlett, she's a like former ballerina, and also Asher's rival's little sister. So yeah, there's that. The only thing I would say about this book is that I think being British, and obviously knowing the Premier League, and obviously knowing British, like I am born and bred British, when like an American author writes a book that's set in England, you can tell it's been written by an American author, just because a lot of the words used, like bloody and wanker, like it was just the overuse of those words, you know, like trying too hard to be British. I don't think anyone British actually uses the word wanker as much as people think we do. I never use it anyway. So I don't know, it just kind of felt like, but I can imagine it must be difficult to be American and live in America or whatever and write a book that's British based. So I think overall it was done really well. I just think it kind of still read to me like an American like hockey romance. But that being said, I absolutely loved it and I rated it 4.5 stars, and I cannot wait for the next book in this series because this was so, so good. Then I read Just Between Us by Lena Hendricks, which again is like a romantic suspense. I did enjoy it. I rated it 3 stars just because it was an easy, like, small town romance read. But I just found parts of it quite cringy. Some of, like, the nicknames and stuff were just making me cringe. I can't really tell you what the plot was about. 1, because I don't really remember, and 2, because it was more just like this woman moves to this small town to help the male main character's family out with something, which is where the drama bits come in, and then the two, him and this girl, kind of hit it off, but they try and like deny their attraction to each other. So there's a lot of tension and stuff, but it's not, yeah, it was fine. Maybe 2.75 stars or 3, I can't decide, but it's around that mark anyway. Then I read Power Play by, who is it by? Chelsea Curto. This is book 2 in the DC Stars series. I actually soft DNF the first book just because I didn't fancy it. And then this second book came out and I heard about it and I was like, I just want to read the second book. So I read the second book and I absolutely loved it. We've got, male main character is like a grumpy goalkeeper in the NHL, and female main character is the like rinkside whatever reporter, and he's like always had a little bit of a crush on her, but he's so grumpy, like you would never have thought so. But they end up being in a lot more close proximity, and he agrees to help her out because she's not that experienced in the bedroom. And wow, it was so good. I ate it up, 4.5 stars. Can't wait for the next book. Just absolutely loved it. And then finally I read If This Was a Movie by Morgan Elizabeth. This is the second book in a series. It follows on from Passenger Princess, which kind of like blew up on TikTok a few months ago. And this is nice if you want like a festive Christmas read. It kind of read to me, it's like a Hallmark movie vibe. And I think that was the vibe that she was really going for as well, because we've got our female main character is like a hopeless romantic, like obsessed with like romance that you see in films and stuff, but something happened and she's kind of given up on love. And then we've got our male main character who's a single dad, and he's like really trying to pursue our female main character, and it's around Christmas time. It's just giving Hallmark movie vibes. I wasn't obsessed with it, but I think it's lovely for this time of year, and I would give it a 2.75 to 3 stars. Can't really sit on a solid rating, but around that area. And that was it. That was it for the month of October. So I only had 1 5-star read, but I think overall it was a good month. Like I had a lot of 4-star reads and 4.5-star reads and stuff like that. So overall it was a good month. I think it could have been better, but I think for a big proportion of it I was kind of fighting for my life, trying to not go into too deep of a reading slump. I'm out of that reading slump now, so I think November is going to be a better month, but we will see. My next video will probably be a November TBR, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, comment, subscribe.
And also, make sure you turn on the little bell in the corner so you get a notification whenever Olivia uploads, so then you never miss a video, and then you'll have the best time of your life.
There we go.